The following program is being brought to you on the Voice America Variety Channel. For more information about our network and to check out additional show hosts and topics of interest, please visit voiceamericavariety.com. The Voice America Talk Radio Network is the worldwide leader in live Internet talk radio. Visit voiceamerica.com. The views and ideas expressed on the following program are strictly those of the hosts or guests and do not necessarily reflect the views and ideas held by the Voice America Talk Radio Network, its staff, and management.
Welcome to Crime Prevention 101. We're so happy you joined us this week. Over the next hour, you'll learn the tips, tricks, and vital information that will help you keep yourself confident and safe. Now, here's your host, Susan Bartelstone.
In case you're not sure where you are, this is the Personal Safety Radio Show with an optimistic perspective on a sober subject. I'm your host, Susan Bartelstone. And I'm so glad that you've joined me today because it's always my great privilege to spend the next hour with you, giving you a show that's informative and entertaining with the kind of information that will help you keep yourself safe. And I've got a show for you today that I'm really looking forward to myself. Now, I'm sure that you all, like me, have seen hundreds of TV shows and movies about undercover agents infiltrating the mob, and taking the mob down and everything. But I've never spoken up close and personal to someone who's really done it until today. My guests are former undercover FBI agent Joaquin Jack Garcia and media personality Valerie Smaldone, who co-host an internet TV show called Crossing the Line. And we're going to find out all about what it's like to go undercover and now be on the TV. But first, we're going to start off the show with our true crime report with Tricia Griffith from WebSleuths.com, one of the best true crime forums that there is on the web. And we're going to talk about what's hot on the forums this week, so you amateur detectives don't want to miss this. And, of course, we'll end the show with the Crime Prevention 101 version of America's Most Wanted, which I call Let's Catch a Criminal. And today I'll be speaking with Detective Kevin Boehm, who's the executive coordinator of the Kansas City Crime Stoppers. And maybe, just maybe, we can help them catch a criminal. So without further ado, let's say hello to Tricia Griffith. Hi.
Hi, Susan. Thank you so much for having me on again. I really appreciate it. I love your show.
Oh, thank you. And I love talking to you.
Well, thank you. And let me tell you, Susan, this week we have something that's pretty shocking. Our good friend Mark Klass, now Mark Klass is Polly Klass's father. Polly Klass was kidnapped and murdered by a sexual predator who should have been in jail and wasn't, and that happened in 1993. Since then, Mark Klass has devoted his life to helping other children stay safe, and he is the one that uncovered this. In California, so listen up, Californians, in California, you all passed a law called Jessica's Law. Part of that law stated that the Department of Mental Health, before a violent sexual offender was to be released, that sexual offender had to interview with two separate psychiatrists in person, sit down, interview in person. That was put into law, I believe, in 2006 it was. Well, the Department of Mental Health, for whatever reasons, decided to ignore that law. I'm assuming it had something to do with budgets, but it doesn't matter. It's the law. The money's there. They've just got to allocate it to the right place. Anyway, the Department of Mental Health in California decided, we're going to cut corners here. We're just going to have one qualified person, psychiatrist or therapist, read the paperwork of the sexual offender and decide whether they should be let go or put into what's called civil commitment. And briefly, civil commitment's actually wonderful. It's the only way we have to protect ourselves from these predators, because once they have served their time, they can go. Even if they're on parole, it doesn't matter. They're out. They're dangerous. So there's a civil commitment law stating that if they're still deemed a danger to society, they can be committed to a mental institution indefinitely. So the idea for Jessica's Law Susan, was to look at these violent sexual predators and decide which ones needed civil commitment and which ones they felt that they could watch and follow and keep society safe and still let them live on the outside. Well, there's a big difference between looking at a violent sex offender's paperwork and sitting down and talking to them, and a big difference from having two people do it. Only one person has been doing this. Since this violation of the law, California, get ready, over 17,000 violent sex offenders have been released into the public. Now, I'm not saying that all those 17 would not have been, they wouldn't have been remanded to a mental health facility, no, but we don't know how many, Susan. And we do know that one of the people that got out 4 days after he was let out, his name was Gilton Petrie. 4 days after he was let out, he raped and murdered a 14-year-old named Alyssa Gomes. Now, that's just one of the cases that we're aware of. But it gets worse.
This is unbelievable.
This isn't, believe it or not, this isn't the worst part. The wonderful people that work in the Department of Mental Health saw this happening, so they decided to become whistleblowers. They contacted via a letter the Attorney General and said, look, they're violating Jessica's law. And the Attorney General, who I believe at the time is Jerry Brown, said, you're right, we need to do something, then totally ignored it. So they contacted another government official, sent that person a letter, and that person sent back a letter saying, there's nothing I can do, you've got to talk to somebody else. Anyway, it was bounced around. Nobody did anything. And they started alerting to this quite a while ago. So they finally, this group of people turned to Mark Klass and said, we need your help. Nobody is paying attention to us, and everybody knows this law is being violated, and no one's paying attention. So Mark is getting these brave people classified as whistleblowers to protect their jobs, and he is going forth and going on the media outlets and telling all about this. So it just goes to show how far we have to go, Susan, before people start to understand that, this, we cannot function as a society unless we are safe. That is first and foremost. We have to be safe. Nothing else. Just think of it. If there wasn't law, if there was, just crime after crime after crime and no way to contain it, we wouldn't have a civilized society. First and foremost, crime prevention.
And California, by the way, also has some very other unique problems because they're so bankrupt. I was talking to somebody about this recently. They're so bankrupt that they're just letting these people go because they can't pay to keep them in prison. That's another problem.
And that's true. And I'm probably looking at this just totally simplistically, but the deal is they have hundreds of millions of dollars, if not $1 billion, for their budget. First and foremost, you just got to prioritize. And the priority is we've got to, number one, keep society safe. If we're not safe, we can't function. The money is there. It's just got to find the right place and get to it and pay for it. And I know that's such a simple way to look at it because there are so many issues. You don't want sick children to go without medicine and all of that. I understand. But society has to be safe.
Right. And a lawless society or a society plagued by criminals, it collapses.
Exactly.
These are some hard choices, but you can't stint on keeping the bad guys away from the rest of us.
Exactly. And the thing is, Susan, and maybe we are looking at it simplistically, but the money is there. It's just the money is spent elsewhere. And I guess I just don't understand, and maybe someday somebody will sit me down and explain this to me. But I don't understand why they can't go, okay, here, look, number 1, 2, and 3, here's where we have to spend the most money. First of all, we got to keep society safe. Second of all, we got to take care of our kids, on and on. Why can't they do that and say, look, this is where the money needs to go? It's very simple. I don't know. I don't know what I'm missing here that makes it so difficult to take the money that is there and spend it in the proper areas. That's what I don't get.
Well, maybe we can start a write-in campaign, especially you Californians, to tell the government you want that class law, and that's KLASS.
No, it's actually called Jessica's Law.
Oh, Jessica's Law. Okay.
Yeah, it was for a.
Talk about that case.
About
that case for those that don't know it.
Of Jessica's Law?
Uh-huh.
Well, from what I understand, and I'm not quite up to steam on this case, it was a sexual predator that was released that shouldn't have been, that was just let go, and he kidnapped and murdered a young woman, a young girl named Jessica. Again, it just happens over and over and over. So, thank God they got Jessica's Law to help protect society from these predators. And I want to mention something. We're always hearing about girls. Boys are also victimized by this as well. Mm-hmm. We just don't hear it as much, but believe me, they are. So don't think that you're safe just because you have little boys running around. No, the danger is out there. Danger is out there, and I hate to sound like an alarmist. I'm not saying, keep your kids in, never let them out, but it just takes a split second, and then they're in trouble, and it's over. So I guess I am sounding the alarm, if you will.
Well, good. It needs to be.
It needs to be.
I'm glad there's also protection for whistleblowers because so many times you do the right thing and you get shafted for it. So
exactly, and that was one thing that Mark Klass was very adamant about before he went forward, is to make sure that these people do have protection so they're not fired. By the way, at WebSleuths, WebSleuths.com, if you go into our Action Forum, you will see we have those letters posted that the whistleblowers wrote to the Attorney General and I believe the Auditor's Office as well. That's the person that handles the money. Saying, look, they're ignoring this law. All these predators are being released. And they just, got totally ignored. Now, the only thing that will make it change, Susan, of course, is if there is, a backlash, a bad publicity, then all of a sudden, things happen. Things seem to happen like that. And, again, I want to stress, I know that there's a horrible budget problem going on, but for God's sakes, let's prioritize here, people.
Now, Tricia, in about 30 seconds, for those people who don't know what WebSleuths is, what is it?
WebSleuths is an online community of people just like you and all of your listeners who come together and discuss cases. They sleuth cases. They bring cases to us. They read. They participate. They do both. We would love to have everybody come and join in. Just go to www.websleuths, that's with an S.com.
And there's lots of great crime prevention information there, too, on that website.
Absolutely.
So you better check it out. Well, another great segment, Tricia. Thank you so much for being with me.
Thank you.
And we'll be talking again next week about the true crime community. Now, my wonderful audience, did you ever wonder what it would be like to go undercover and infiltrate the mob for the FBI? Well, you'll find out shortly when we meet former FBI agent Jack Garcia, a.k.a. Jack Falcone, and media personality extraordinaire Valerie Smaldone, the co-host of the internet TV show Crossing the Line.
Ask the experts. Call toll-free right now, 1-866-472-5787. And ask our all-star team to answer your question. That's 1-866-472-5787.
Thank you for calling.
VoiceAmerica.com. After more than 17 years' experience teaching safety skills to thousands of women and men, crime prevention and personal safety expert Susan Bartelstone concluded that by thinking and responding quickly, ideally within 20 seconds, potentially violent criminal encounters can be prevented. Using techniques from many different disciplines and illustrated by 60 real-life examples and success stories, Susan shows how it's done in her new book, Think Fast and Prevent a Violent Crime: How to Respond to Danger in 20 Seconds or Less. Check out www.crimeprevention101.com for more information.
Hi, this is Susan Bartelstone, host of Crime Prevention 101, and I want to tell you about My Mobile Witness, a revolutionary service that transforms your camera phone into a personal safety device. My Mobile Witness believes safety is improved when you remove anonymity from dangerous scenarios. If you're in a stalking situation, for example, if you have an order of protection against someone, or if your profession places you in situations that are potentially dangerous, I want you to check out My Mobile Witness. And you parents of college students, ask the school to check out the My Mobile Witness University program with custom-tailored options aimed at keeping both students and faculty safe. every campus could benefit from the My Mobile Witness University service. For more information, go to mymobilewitness.com.
Family caregivers face some tough challenges every day in caring for a partner, parent, child, sibling, friend, neighbor, or even coworker. You are there to provide the care that these people need after everyone else has gone home. Family Caregivers Unite with Dr. Gordon Atherley will provide you with a social networking experience. You'll hear from experts and others who are experiencing the same things, and together you will promote a common cause. Tune in to Family Caregivers Unite, live every Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific on Voice America Variety.
Streaming live, the leader in Internet talk radio, voiceamerica.com.
You're listening to Crime Prevention 101 with Susan Bartelstone. Susan would like to remind you that no absolutes exist in a crime scenario, and no advice can possibly address every variable. Each situation should be evaluated individually and responded to in a way you instinctively judge best. It's Susan's aim on this show to provide you with the information and options that will help you make that instinctive assessment quickly and safely. And if you're already a survivor of the kind of crime we're talking about on the show today, or any other crime for that matter, please remember that there are no right or wrong responses in a criminal encounter, and nothing that happened to you was your fault. Even if you think you used bad judgment in a situation and left yourself vulnerable, that's never an excuse for a crime or for violence. So please, call yourself a survivor, not a victim, and understand that with time, distance, and the proper professional help, you can put what happened into perspective and get on with your life. If you'd like to share your stories, tips, or suggestions for topics you'd like us to cover, send your comments to solutions@fightsafe.com, and Susan may address some of them on future shows. That email address again, solutions@fightsafe.com. Now, back to Crime Prevention 101.
Hi, Susan Bartelstone here. You know, there's plenty of show left to tune in for, so please start tweeting about us if you're on Twitter. And don't forget, you can follow me on Twitter and Facebook, too, and I would love to have you as a friend. All right, now let's meet Jack and Valerie. Cuban-born and Bronx-raised Jack Garcia spent a total of 26 years as a special agent for the FBI, many of them working deep undercover to bring down one of the Cosa Nostra's most notorious crime families. He's the author of the best-selling autobiography, which is soon to be a movie, Making Jack Falcone, an undercover FBI agent takes down a Mafia family, and it's the true story of what it was like infiltrating organized crime. And today we're going to find out if infiltrating the mob is as dangerous as co-hosting an internet TV show, because he's now the co-host, along with my other guest, Valerie Smaldone, of the internet show Crossing the Line. And Valerie, let me introduce you to Valerie. 5-time Billboard Magazine Award winner Valerie Smaldone had a distinguished 25-year career as the #1 rated host on New York City's 106.7 Light FM station, often referred to simply as The Voice. She's done voiceovers in more than 1,000 commercials. You can hear her as the announcer on the Boomer Esiason show on MSG, at the Emmy Awards. In fact, she's got so many accomplishments. Writer, producer, Broadway show producer, actress. It would take the entire first half of my show just to tell you about them. So to save my voice, let me say she now adds co-host of the internet show Crossing the Line to her resume. And I want to welcome you both, Jack, Valerie, to Crime Prevention 101.
Thank you so much, Susan.
Yeah, we're happy to be here, Susan.
My pleasure. All right, so now since it's a crime prevention show, Jack, let's start briefly with you, and then we'll get everybody talking about everything. So, since you're just a guy from the Bronx, talk a little about your life. How'd you end up in the FBI working undercover?
Well, just remember, if you're from the Bronx, you're not just a guy. I mean, it's the only city in the world that has a prefix "duh" in front of it. You know, so we're a special breed out there, but. To discuss what you said earlier as far as what was more difficult, infiltrating the Gambino crime family or being trying to break into the radio with our Smaldone and Falcone Show, I say it's about the same. You know, to get made, you got to be a made. Well, the same thing with radio. Hopefully, you know, we're going on with our show and trying to put out there a innovative show, and hopefully we'll be syndicated all through the U.S. soon.
I certainly hope so. We're going to. I want to pick up more about what it's like to do an internet TV show in just a second, but I want to talk a little bit about what it was like, your work as an infiltrator in the mob, and what's a made man exactly? You mentioned a made man.
Well, this was my first role that I ever played as an Italian. I was born in Cuba, like you said, so I had to kind of pose as I was a third or fourth generation Sicilian who had was involved in criminal work and was a knockaround guy, a guy who, through the introduction of an informant, I became accepted into a particular crew of the Gambino crime family. And mostly what you do once you're there with these guys, you're involved in making money for the family, which in this particular case was the Gambino crime family. The more money you make, the more status you have. And eventually in time, if you keep your nose clean and you keep earning and you keep your mouth shut, then you're proposed for membership. And that is a ceremony in itself, which only a few people partake. I mean, it's not a guarantee that if you're an associate of the mob, that you will be granted your button or be made man, only if you pass their test. And obviously I must have passed it because I was proposed for membership, and unfortunately the case ended, and I never reached that rank of becoming a made man in the mafia.
Oh, okay. But do you actually get a button when you get it, like a club that you get in?
No, it's not. But you undergo a ritual ceremony. You don't get a button. A button is one of the sayings, like when you get made. Oh. Another one is you get straightened out, which mostly what it means, the ceremony, is that once that you've been cleared and proven that you are a guy that has never ratted before, kept his mouth shut, is in good standing, then you're told of a ceremony which is in a secret location. You're there among all the captains and the bosses of the family. You undergo the ceremony by cutting your finger and having the blood drip into a saint, and then you burn this card of the saint, one of these mass cards, while you recite this oath of omerta, which means is the oath, the vow of silence. And then once you undergo through this, you kind of are born again, and then you have to accept the fact that your new family is now the Gambino crime family, that your old family doesn't count. So even if your wife or your daughter or your mother or father was dying in the hospital and you were called by the boss, you would have to respond. Otherwise, the penalty for that would be death. So you are born into that family, and you're there just to make money for the family, but you have the respect that goes into that criminal element world that you are a made man.
This is really so far out of the realm of my, everyday life. It's just so hard for me to believe this, and I'm sure my audience listening is saying the same thing. I mean, wow, unbelievable.
Well, it's a reality, and there are thousands of made men. Just so you're aware, there's like 250 alone made men in the Gambinos. Now, there are 5 families in New York, and there's over 20 families throughout the United States. So do the math on that these are members of La Cosa Nostra.
And they're everywhere, obviously.
Yeah, now, mostly in Italian neighborhoods.
Did you ever have to do a hit on someone or take drugs or something like that in order to prove that you were worthy of being a made man or
Well,
part of this part?
What happened is we in the FBI are in the business of preventing crime, not creating it. So I created this illusion that I was committing crimes, and I was bringing some of the proceeds back to my captain. So therefore, I didn't really participate in this criminal thing because I was viewed more as an earner, a guy who was already making money. Now, in the old days, you would have to dirty your hands in blood by killing someone. But the reason for that was if you had your hands tainted in blood, you most likely did not cooperate. Unfortunately, now in the mob, you got to slap guys to shut them up. I mean, they're always talking. So therefore, once they get arrested, they become rats. They cooperate. So the onus about having to kill somebody, it's no longer there. So the new rule is that you have to be an earner, somebody who makes money, and you can be called upon to kill someone. I, luckily, was never called to have to kill somebody, and if I was to have been called, I certainly would not have done it, and I would have prevented doing it because, that's not the job of an FBI undercover agent to do.
No, of course. But I think when you talk about being an actor, and I'm sure that this is paving the way for you to do this TV show, I mean, you really had to be an actor to get away with this.
Well, that's what undercover work is acting. I mean, let's break it down that way. That's all it is. You're playing a role of somebody, but the big difference between an actor and an undercover police officer or an agent is that actors get second takes. You don't get a second take as an undercover. You make one mistake, the next thing you know, you got two in the back of your head.
Absolutely. All right, now, when you left the FBI, how did you get out of the mob? I mean, you can't just say, okay, well, that's it, my job's over and I'm going. And how do you end something like that?
Well, we ended it by arresting them. We arrested a total of 32 mob guys. They were all arrested, and then we took over 7 others, and then 7 others were subsequently arrested for a total of 39. They realized that I was an FBI agent who had infiltrated their ranks, so that's how you do it. And you take it down, and they all pled guilty except for one who decided to go to trial, and he was found guilty and sentenced to 12 years.
Oh, my God. So are you nervous that in 12 years someone's going to start coming looking for you? Or?
Well, no, some of them already have been out. Listen, are they capable of doing, of killing me? Absolutely. I mean, but I'm not going to live in fear. And also, what message do we in law enforcement send out to these criminals if we have to hide from them and be in fear of them? Basically the message would be is that they won. So we're not. We are the victors. We are law enforcement. We took them down, and we continue to press on, take them on. Now, I don't do stupid things like go to Little Italy and eat cannolis. And if Valerie, after our show, says, come on, let's go get something in Little Italy, of course I'm not going to do that. So, but as far as are they capable of doing something to me? Absolutely, but I'm just not going to be I'm going to be a moving target for them.
Well, but Jackie, you wrote a book. There's going to be a movie. I mean, you're not exactly... It's not just like, okay, you're blending into the woodwork here. You're really standing out front.
Well, I am a visible guy, as you saw me on 60 Minutes. I'm 6'4", over 400 pounds. So that is true. But listen, they may have 250 guys in the family who are made guys. I have 12,000 FBI agents. I have over 1 million police officers throughout the United States and the world who would jump on them. And you know what? It would be, if they would try anything on a law enforcement officer, the reign of terror would fall upon them. And I think they're smarter than that, and they realize, hey, you know what? They got us. Let's move on. If we do anything to retaliate, there goes our fortune and there goes their world.
All right. I'm keeping my fingers crossed.
Please do so.
Just real quick, they're making a movie about Making Jack Falcone, and do I understand that you've got a big star to play you in the movie?
Well, yeah, they just announced it on Thursday. I mean, Benicio del Toro has signed on. It made all the papers this past Thursday. I was delighted. I heard through the grapevine, of course, he's got to gain weight, and I heard the incentive was he's getting paid by the pound. So, God bless him.
430 pounds, he's got a lot of money coming to him, I guess.
Exactly. You know what? That's a good incentive for someone to gain a couple of pounds.
Hey, I've done it for less. What can I tell you?
Hey, I do it for free. So let's
I was just going to say that. And Valerie does not have to worry about this at all. And we're going to talk with Valerie, and we're going to talk more with Jack coming up. We're going to find out how he likes being on the TV show in just one moment.
Talk, talk, talk. That's all we do is talk. If you'd like to talk, call us toll-free right now at 1-866-472-5787. 1-866-472-5787.
That's it.
VoiceAmerica.com.
Hi, this is Susan Bartelstone, host of Crime Prevention 101, and I want to tell you about My Mobile Witness, a revolutionary service that transforms your camera phone into a personal safety device. My Mobile Witness believes safety is improved when you remove anonymity from dangerous scenarios. If you're in a stalking situation, for example, if you have an order of protection against someone, or if your profession places you in situations that are potentially dangerous, I want you to check out My Mobile Witness. And you parents of college students, ask the school to check out the My Mobile Witness University program with custom-tailored options aimed at keeping both students and faculty safe. Every campus could benefit from the My Mobile Witness University service. For more information, go to mymobilewitness.com.
Stimulating talk.
It gets those synapses in the brain firing really fast.
All the time. The #1 internet talk station where your opinion counts. VoiceAmerica.com.
You're listening to Crime Prevention 101 with Susan Bartelstone. We invite you to share your stories, tips, or suggestions for topics you'd like us to cover, and Susan will address some of these on future shows. Send your story or idea to solutions@fightsafe.com. That email address again is solutions@fightsafe.com. Now, back to Crime Prevention 101 with Susan Bartelstone.
This is Crime Prevention 101. Thanks for tuning in today. And don't forget to check out my blog site, crimeprevention101.com, where you can find out more information about show topics and my wonderful guests. You can get on my mailing list, and you can even email me from there. Now, back to Jack and Valerie, who've been crossing the line several times during the break. Valerie, hi, let's talk with you now. And Valerie, one more thing that you do that I didn't have enough breath left to mention when I introduced you is that you coach radio show hosts like myself, which you did back when I was just starting out on the show. And from the bottom of my heart, really, I can only hope to be 1/100th as good as you are for however long my radio career is.
Wow, no pressure, huh? Listen, Susan, you were a delight to work with, and the thing that makes you successful is your passion for what you do. And when somebody loves what they do and wants to communicate it, right off the bat, they're heads and shoulders above everybody else.
Okay, now I just wanted to point out to my audience, is that the voice or what? That's the voice. All right, Valerie, let's talk a little about Crossing the Line. What is it? How did the title come about?
Well, you know, when Jack and I met, and we met through a third party who was looking to find a co-host for Jack, and he found me, and this is my testament to social networking that it works. He found me on LinkedIn. I believe I was posting something about coaching radio people, and this third individual contacted me and told me about Jack, and I had just seen, not too long ago, the interview with Jack on 60 Minutes, and I had very strong opinion about him. Initially, I thought he was, I didn't understand when I saw the tease. I thought he was a wise guy. And I remember saying, oh, these people disgust me. They make the Italians look so bad. And little did I know, he was a good guy, and he was on the side of law enforcement. So I remembered my strong reaction to Jack, and I was intrigued. We got together, and we really had instant chemistry, which is very rare in radio or television. You kind of have to work at it. It was instant chemistry. We got along. We respect each other. We have very different opinions, but tremendous respect and admiration for each other. And also, he's huge, and I'm kind of small. So it's an interesting physical difference.
But the idea of crossing the line, really developing the program, was both of us have crossed the line. I left a very cushy and comfortable music radio career to take a leap of faith that there's more in life for me, that I could continue my career beyond that. And Jack's many leaps of faith in all that he's done as an undercover agent, and then leaving that life behind to become essentially a personality. I mean, a writer, a brilliant speaker. He's a terrific speaker. And now a media personality. So we're both crossing that line. It's a very open topic. On another level, every guest on the show somehow has a relationship to crime. I mean, and when you think about it, don't we all? In some way,
yeah.
Don't we all? So the name Crossing the Line was the idea of all those concepts put together, and then really the show is actually Smaldone and Falcone being Jack's undercover name with the Gambinos.
Well,
it rhymes better than Garcia.
Well, I'll tell you how good Valerie is. Originally, I thought of the name The Beauty and the Beast, but she didn't want to hurt my feelings. So I said, no, that's a great combination. Look at the size differences. I mean, and but we did come up with this Crossing the Line, but Beauty and the Beast was, I think, second, a runner-up on that.
Now, I'm going to ask you about some of your guests in a second, but I know what you're saying about the Beauty and the Beast. It's not true, though, Jackson, but it's funny. Now, what is Shovio? Now, this is very interesting, the network that you're on.
Right. Well, Shovio launched actually very recently at the end of last year, and it's a new interactive TV format that allows people to not only watch, but to beam in. So all you need on your computer after you've logged into Shovio, and it's a free confidential login, you have a little camera, either on your laptop or the little accessory that you purchase for your computer. And when you want to make a phone call, you phone in. I mean, you beam in. I'm using the wrong technology. You beam in by actually pressing the lips on the bottom of the screen, and your visual comes up on the screen. So there is no phone. It's all computer operated, and they become part of the show. And it's, people have used other technologies, but this is a new proprietary technology that was developed by a team of very smart people, and it allows the listener, the viewer, the guest to be part of the show.
I took a look at it, and you can see that they're typing the comments, and it's running alongside of it's live. You're doing this live, and then their comments are appearing on the screen. A lot of them talking about your voice and your clothes, but whatever. And they can also ask questions for you and your guests that way too.
That's
isn't that right?
Because if people can't, if they don't have the actual camera, they want to be a part of it, and they'll just send us questions or comments. And I'm the person that's shifting the cameras. I'm the person watching the comments. It's very sort of guerrilla television. It's not high gloss. It's really the content of what we're talking about. And the woman who's responsible for this, Leslie Gold, is also a radio personality in New York. She was for many years in rock radio. She's known as the Radio Chick. And Leslie really loved this idea and decided she wanted to make this her commitment, so she's in the company as well. And she went and recruited a lot of radio people. So there's a very eclectic mix of personalities on the team there. And we're delighted to be part of it.
It's so interesting. I mean, it's really interactive, and you can really become part of the show.
Exactly. That's the point.
Talk about some of the guests that you've got coming up. And by the way, I fully intend to steal as many of them as I can for Crime Prevention Winners.
Well, it goes both ways, Susan. We'll take some of yours, too. I think the prison coach sounds like a great guest for you.
Oh, he was fun. He was a lot of fun.
I think he was on Jack, he was on our list to get, wasn't he? The prison coach guy?
Yeah, I remember something about that.
Yeah.
Okay, if you give me Curtis Sliwa, I'll give you Steve Oberfest. How's that?
I think I gave you his contact information, didn't I?
Not yet.
Oh, I blew that. Okay, sorry, I'll do that. I will do that as soon as we get off.
Wrong, Susan.
But please. My casa is su casa, so to speak. I'm really happy to share guests.
Thank you. That's very kind of you.
Well, so talk about who you've had.
Yeah.
And by the way, these shows are archived, right? I just want to make that clear. So if anyone missed that show, they can go back, like they can do with my radio show, and they can see those shows.
Right. On demand gets a far larger audience than live, obviously, because people aren't always by their computer, but they go back and they can watch it. The first week that we did this was our test week. We did it every night. And Jack had a contact that was quite good, Tim Donaghy, who we know wrote that book and was involved with the fixing of games in the NBA, and he was getting a lot of press. He was on 60 Minutes, and he beamed in from, was it Florida, Jack?
Yes, from Florida.
He was in Florida. So that was a very high-profile guest that week. We also had a former soprano guy from the TV show The Sopranos, Al Sapienza. We had the first show, I think, was our favorite show because it was just Jack and me talking about our lives and getting to get our feet wet with the show. We had a lot of fun with that. And then last week we had Jackie, the joke man Martling, who's known for his filthy jokes and inappropriate jokes, but he was on the Howard Stern show for many, many years, and he's a very nice guy and very funny.
I think it's a crime to be on the Howard Stern show, so maybe that's how he fits into your show. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of that one.
Yeah, see, I am, Susan. I'm a very big fan of his. And let's not forget Curtis as well.
Right.
Curtis Lewa.
My man Curtis.
Your friend, too, Valerie, the
right.
Psychiatrist, right?
She's a therapist, yes. She works, many times she's on the Nancy Grace show. Lauren Howard, and she's very good at assessing quick situations about criminals and how they operate. And she's been on television many times, so she came to our show, and it was wonderful. We had a former, and you had these guys on your show, Wayne Gurman and Bill Lappy.
I love them.
Yes, the former criminal and the former detective that teamed up to do a movie. So there was a lot going on the show, and more to come.
It sounds amazing, and I really tell people how they can watch this show and how they can find you. And
absolutely, it's just go to Shovio, SHOVIO.com, register to be part of the group that can watch, that gets access to watch, and we're on now. Our new time is Thursdays at 5 p.m., 5 to 6 p.m. You can also go to our website, SmaldonFalcone.com, where you can get all this information. And like you, we have a Facebook fan page, fans of Smaldone Falcone. And the big news is that March 25th, we'll be doing this live in New York. I'll be interviewing Jack live on a little stage in a lovely restaurant. And it's a great night. There's terrific appetizers as part of the deal. A cash bar, and Jack will be there. It's a meet and greet with Jack, and I'll be interviewing Jack about his very fascinating life. And I tell you, in person, it's even better. It really is.
Well, that's wonderful. So all my listeners who are in New York City, take note of this, and they can find out about that on the Falcone Smaldone fan page on
Smaldone
Facebook.
Falcone, SmaldoneFalcone.com. Yep.
All right, well, I don't know where the time goes. I want to thank you and Valerie and Jack for being with me today. It's just fascinating hearing the stories and hearing about the TV shows. Make sure you take a look, www.shovio, SHOV like Victor, IO.com. And also look for the movie Making Jack Falcone with a very chubby Benicio del Toro, evidently. Thanks so much, guys.
All right.
Thank you.
Coming up is my favorite part of the show, where I talk to one of the Crime Stoppers groups, and there are thousands of them, and we try to help them solve a crime.
News, opinion, passion.
Hear me.
Your voice counts. Call toll-free 1-866-472-5787. 1-866-472-5787. VoiceAmerica.com. After more than 17 years' experience teaching safety skills to thousands of women and men, crime prevention and personal safety expert Susan Bartelstone concluded that by thinking and responding quickly, ideally within 20 seconds, potentially violent criminal encounters can be prevented. Using techniques from many different disciplines and illustrated by 60 real-life examples and success stories, Susan shows how it's done in her new book, Think Fast and Prevent a Violent Crime: How to Respond to Danger in 20 Seconds or Less. Check out www.crimeprevention101.com for more information. Stimulating talk
Gets those synapses in the brain firing really fast.
all the time. The #1 internet talk station where your opinion counts. VoiceAmerica.com.
You're listening to Crime Prevention 101 with Susan Bartelstone. We invite you to share your stories, tips, or suggestions for topics you'd like us to cover, and Susan will address some of these on future shows. Send your story or idea to solutions@fightsafe.com. That email address again is solutions@fightsafe.com. Now back to Crime Prevention 101 with Susan Bartelstone.
This is Susan Bartelstone, and I just want to remind you that Crime Prevention 101 is available on iTunes, so you don't even have to be at your computer to listen. Now, coming up is my favorite part of this show, where I talk to one of my Crime Stoppers groups, and today we're going to be talking to Detective Kevin Boehm from the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department, and he's with the Kansas City Crime Stoppers. And Detective Boehm is a lifelong resident of Kansas City, Missouri. He's been in law enforcement since 1993, rising to the rank of detective, and he's worked in almost every area of policing that there is. And then in 2008, he became the coordinator of the Kansas City Crime Stoppers organization, overseeing a program that covers 2 states, more than 7 counties, 60-plus law enforcement jurisdictions, and over 2 million people. Wow. That's huge. Kevin, welcome to Crime Prevention 101.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity.
All right, for people that don't know, talk a little about what the Crime Stoppers does.
Well, Crime Stoppers originally began in 1976 in New Mexico with an unsolved convenience store robbery and homicide. And what the detective by the name of Greg McAleese had done at that point was he reenacted the case to get some information because all of the leads had dried up. And what he found was when he did this reenactment and he put up some funds for this to combat the fear and apathy that some of the people had in the community, they got a terrific response. And ultimately, within about 72 hours of this reenactment, they had an arrest in this case, which had basically gone cold. So what that told him was that if the police and the media and the community can really work together on these types of issues, hopefully they will come to a positive resolution.
And it worked?
It did. It worked very well. And there are a number of, there's over 1,400 Crime Stoppers agencies in the world now, and they all basically follow the same pattern, and they work extremely well. I know our program, we're very proud of it. I don't want to seem like I'm trying to toot our own horn, but we've had a lot of really good successes since our founding in 1982.
And the thing about it that's so important is that you can make your tips. You can call in with any information you have, and it's anonymous. So you don't have to get your name involved or, say who you are.
Yes, that's correct, and that's part of the it was part of the original philosophy behind fighting the fear that there is in communities and within inner cities and things like that. Was fear of being singled out as a rat or a snitch, and you actually see negative connotations of those two words within some communities. People who wear T-shirts that say "Don't snitch." We see that all the time here in Kansas City. Mm-hmm. But we're trying to encourage people to talk and to cooperate, because what they're doing is they're trying to better their own community.
Exactly, and sometimes they're afraid. They're afraid of retaliation, or that their family's going to get in trouble if they call in about something that they know about, that they've seen. And this way, they are fully protected. Nobody will know that they were the ones that called in the information.
That's absolutely correct. The way our program works is we assign a random code number to the caller. When they call our program, we have no caller ID. We don't take any names. In the documents that we generate, everyone is referred to as the caller. We don't differentiate between male or female. Everybody's just a generic term, the caller. And so they're responsible for keeping that code word. And if a tip does result in an arrest, they then call us back with that code number, and we can arrange to make an anonymous payment to them in the form of a cash reward.
And that's the other thing. There is a cash reward for the information, which is always handy to have. How much do the rewards usually wind up?
We pay up to $1,000 from our program, and then we also have they're basically within our program 3 full-time employees. One of our other employees is in charge of what we call the supplemental reward fund. And in particularly high-profile cases, these are additional reward amounts that our program will receive and keep separate from the Crime Stoppers program, but would then be applicable to the particular tip that paid off if the law enforcement agency deems that information did lead to an arrest in a particular case. So our program basically is up to $1,000, but there are circumstances where it might go a little higher through a different reward fund.
That's nice. That's always nice to have. And I understand from some of my other Crime Stoppers guests that not everybody wants that reward. They just really want to be civic and help make their neighborhood safer and stuff. Exactly.
That's correct. What we find a lot of times is, especially with the narcotics locations that we receive information on, those typically would be obviously within a neighborhood or within a community, and they just want those facilities out of there. We probably don't pay out on probably 90% of our narcotics search warrants that are served based on a tip.
Nice.
They just want that nuisance out of their neighborhood. They don't really care about the money.
I think that's wonderful, and it kind of restores your faith, a little bit in humanity when you hear that.
Oh, absolutely, it does. And there's a saying that we like to use around here, especially when we're out with the community groups. It's not within a neighborhood or within a community. It's not when the bad people move into your neighborhood. It's when all the good people move out that you have the problems.
Mm-hmm. That's
so
right.
You like to see these people really take ownership within their communities and combat these problems, because we have a lot of nice areas within Kansas City, and they need to stay that way with the citizens' help.
Excellent. Now, does Kansas City Crime Stoppers have any special programs that you'd like to mention that are a little unique to you?
We do. We have several programs that I wouldn't mind mentioning. I know in listening to some of your other programs, I was able to tune in over the net and listen to the Los Angeles program, and then also back in February, the program you had with Detective Sarantonio from Bluegrass Crime Stoppers. He and I met each other at the conference last year. But some of the programs that we have are similar to those. We also have a cold case playing cards program that we've utilized, and I know you've done a program on that in the past. One of our other full-time employees, I'm sorry, he's actually a part-time employee, but one of the full-time persons that works here at our office, his duty is to do a weekly fugitive spotlight. And what he does is we have a very good relationship with all of the local media within the area, all of the different affiliates with the different stations. When it comes to Crime Stoppers here in Kansas City, they really cooperate very well, and there's not the infighting that you might see in some other cities. So we feature specific fugitives on the different stations. For example, one of our local stations just handles our sex crimes fugitives. One of the other stations, one of the other stations will handle a different type of fugitive. So they all divvy that up, and we know who to contact. We know who our go-to people are. They do a great job of airing all of this information on the news at the different hours during the day. We also have recently established a relationship with our local newspaper, the Kansas City Star, and they feature fugitives on their website. And what they've done is taken from us. Every 3 weeks we have a newspaper that comes out that's called Kansas City's Most Wanted, where we feature over 100 fugitives in this newspaper, and it's sold at local convenience stores for $1. And the circulation is very good. And what happens is the store that sells where we have the distribution site, they get to keep a quarter. 75 cents of that comes back to our program. And then, of course, if somebody sees a picture in the newspaper, calls it in, we take the information, there's an arrest, they get the reward. So that has been very successful. We are up to 148 arrests out of our newspaper.
Excellent. Now, do you have a particular case, very quickly, we've got about 2 minutes, that you'd like to talk about, and maybe Crime Prevention 101 listeners can call in some information for you that are out in Kansas City?
I would love to. I actually have 2 real quick cases. The first one is a homicide on the Kansas side because we deal with both sides of the state line. This happened actually April 9th of 2008. Had a gentleman by the name of Jeff Rogers that was murdered in his home in the 8400 block of Torome. The individual was shot and stabbed for apparently unknown reasons. This particular case and the family has been very involved. We're currently working with America's Most Wanted to get this featured nationally, and we're looking for tips on that particular case. And then, very briefly, on the Missouri side, we are in the midst of a serial rapist within the Waldo neighborhood. This particular individual has conducted 5 rapes since September of 2009. The patterns are all similar. He's victimizing this one particular community, and we would really like to get him off the streets as well.
Wonderful. Now, let's give out the website and the phone number, so if anyone has any information on this, they can call in to you.
I would love to do that. That website is www.kccrimestoppers.com, and you can find our fugitive photos there as well as submitting a tip online. And then our phone number is 816-474-8477. And again, those are anonymous phone calls.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for being on the show with me today, and I hope my Kansas City listeners or Missouri listeners are taking note of this. I'm going to be putting links to all of my guests today on my Voice America homepage and on my Crime Prevention 101 website, so you'll be able to have quick links to Kansas City Crime Stoppers as well as my other guests. Thank you so much for being with me today, Kevin.
Thank you. It was great to talk to you.
Well, that's a wrap for now. But never fear, because you and I will be doing this again next week, same time, same channel, when I'll have more stories that demand to be told, more hot crime topics, and, of course, lots of tips and resources for you. It'd be a crime not to listen, so stay tuned and stay safe.
We hope you got some useful information and inspiration this week on Crime Prevention 101. Susan Bartelstone invites you to join us again next Thursday at 5 p.m. Pacific at 8 p.m. Eastern Time here on Voice America. If you want to learn more about Susan's guest, sign up for her newsletter, or find out about upcoming teleseminars and workshops, go to www.crimeprevention101.com today. Have a great week and a safe week.